Uh, Namaste, my brothers and sisters. My name's Kirk. I'm a natural born trance medium, professional tarot reader, a dream supporter and life coach, manifester, helper, assister, and I make videos for YouTube, and we just passed our 100,000 hits mark with your help. Shakti Namaste. Thank you. Okay, I've started my day, and I need to collect my thoughts. Breathe. Oh, when I'm a life, when I turn the camera on, I'm very scattered, and I apologize. When I'm in a session with somebody, I'm extremely focused with a client. I take on personal clients for life coaching, and I do tarot, professional tarot reading. Right now I'm working with two decks. I'm working with a more Christian-based Doreen Virtue deck. Doreen Virtue, she's online. She's got YouTube videos. She sells books and decks. And this deck is actually really stunning, and I highly recommend it. It's not a cheap deck. It's the card stock. Anybody that has spent time with tarot cards professionally knows that, sometimes they use a very cheap card stock, and after you've worked with the deck on a daily basis, for 6 weeks or 6 months, the cards just look old, and not in a good way, not in like a sexy way, like, oh wow, it's such an old deck. It just looks tattered, and you end up looking kind of like amateurish, like you got a cheap ass deck. So this deck is on great card stock, and it's I highly recommend it for professionals. It's the Doreen Virtue Angel, like super pack or something. And it comes with a great book too. And you can have a great deck, but like a crappy book. You know what I'm saying? That, like, I don't know what these people are talking about. Or you can have like a good deck with good card stock, and you can have a good book as well. And so Doreen actually hits the mark on this, in my professional tarot opinion of reading tarot cards now over 25 years. The daily spiritual message. What's the daily spiritual message, Kirk? The daily spiritual message, how you wake up and what's your, daily spiritual practice. And, I wish that I woke up in Happy Land every day. Like, I just, sprang out of bed, and I'm like, oh, I'm in Happy Land, and I just have, a happy attitude, and I'm just so happy, and I have, happy coffee and, sexy coffee in the morning, and, oh, I'm, an addict in recovery now, wow, in my 30th year. And you would think that I had worked through, waking up in a bad attitude, wanting to have sex and chain smoke and just, snort coke and get high and I can't face the day type of thing. And it doesn't go away. So, part of the message for today is that basically you have to, this card keeps coming up, which is actually really cool. The Ten of Pentacles. It's, Doreen calls it the Ten of Earth. It's the Palace of Earth, or the Palace of, there's 4 suits. I'm going to show you these. I work with 2 decks. Stick with me. I'm speaking and channeling in about 5 universes right now. It's just as confusing to me as it is to you sometimes. But anyways, I'm working with another deck called the, I'm not sure how to say this because he's Italian. So I think it's Ciro Marchetti or Marchetti. And it's called the Tarot of Dreams, and this is another deluxe deck. And, basically with tarot cards, you get what you pay for, okay? And this is on great cardstock too. And I had another deck by Ciro that was like kind of like a $15, $18 deck. The mofo just fell apart after like a couple of weeks. I'm really hard on my decks. I read a lot. I study with them every morning. And, sometimes I don't use coasters, okay? And, I'm drinking water or seltzer or something. And, some water got on some of the cards and they just frayed apart. And I was like, this is bullshit. And, I had a bad feeling about the deck. And then I couldn't get good energy into that deck. And I don't think I threw that deck away. Or maybe I did. Sometimes you have to let a deck go because the deck is just not, you're not connecting to it. It's not, the more time you spend with the deck and you get a good feeling for the deck, then when you are working in a professional sense, as opposed to your own daily spiritual studying and practice, you have a good feeling with the deck. The deck is part of you. It's just like being a chef. I went to cooking school and, it's just like your knives. You know what I'm saying? Like a chef carries their own knives, and the knives eventually become part of you. You know what I mean? And they are an extension of you. They're your tools. And, there's certain knives that you buy, and you're like, oh my God, this is going to be a great knife. I got this little paring knife, and I'm able to do all these really great things with this knife. And, more expensive is not always better. With the knives, I've had really expensive knives that were totally didn't work out and it just didn't connect to me or something. And then I've had like $4 knives that like, oh my God, this knife is perfect. So anyways, you do get what you pay for with the tarot cards, but so if you buy a cheap deck, sometimes the deck just doesn't mesh with you. I've probably had over 50 decks. Now I'm all excited and I want to pull all my decks out and talk about them and show you. But anyways, the two decks I'm working with on a daily basis are the Doreen Virtue Angel cards. They're, like I said, they're more of a Christian based, and they have a little slant to the white energy, the white magic, the white love. I think Doreen Virtue is actually an addict or an alcoholic in recovery as well. So I think she's channeling the light that I agree with. So, this deck, the Angel deck, is in affinity with me, most definitely. And the other thing that is like so important is the back. You can see that, and there's like a little beautiful angel holding two batons of light, and the colors are rich. And they're beautiful, and you don't get tired. Because when you look at a deck, constantly looking at this deck all the time, and you're seeing a pattern that is kind of like, it's an eyesore, and it hurts your eyes, and it's just doesn't look good on the table. It shows that the people that made the deck, they don't know what they're doing. Do you know what I mean? Because when you spend a lot of time with a deck and this other side of the card is unattractive and it looks bad on the table and your eyes get tired of it and you can't see it, you got to let that deck go too. So, Doreen really put a lot of thought. And so, you feel more comfortable putting a part of your essence and your soul. A good reader, like I said, with the knives, it's the same thing. A part of your energy goes into this. This is your tools. This is what you're working with. This is what the universe can come through, and the divine higher intelligence, for your clients and the people that you're being of service, spiritual service to. So to get back to, where did that Ten of Pentacles card go? Dang. The Ten of Pentacles keeps coming up. Here we go. In the Doreen Virtue, she calls it the Ten of Earth, but in the classic Rider-Waite deck, it's Pentacles, and the Ten of Earth, as she says. And I also like this, that if you're a beginner and you don't know what the meaning or the symbolism is, this is not a classic deck. This is kind of like a side deck too. It riffs off of the classic Rider-Waite. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you can Google Rider-Waite. It's Rider-Waite Coleman Smith, actually. named after the company that printed it, which is Rider, named after Arthur Waite, who was the genesis for the original deck. And then now the woman that illustrated the classic illustrations that we all know, you know, the Hermit, the Strength card, the Wheel of Fortune, the World card, the Fool card. Those classic tarot illustrations came from Pamela Coleman Smith. And, you know, for a long time they just called it the Rider-Waite deck. But, you know, Pamela was half the deck. And so she needs her due. She died in, you know, obscurity and poverty. And interestingly enough, none of the original illustrations were ever found, to my knowledge. That's weird. You know, can you imagine what some of those original paintings of the tarot, as we know it now, on the, you know, Waite Coleman Smith deck would be worth? They'd be worth a fortune. And so she died in total obscurity, thinking her life was a total waste. And, you know, that she wasn't a good artist. And now millions and millions of people every day look at her artwork on the classic Rider-Waite. So the point is that, you know, we're switching over, and everybody's switching over to give Pamela her due. Let me see if it's, yeah. I always get the names confused. Sometimes I say Arthur and it's Alfred, or I say Alfred and it's really Arthur. It's Pamela Coleman. Sometimes I was saying Patricia, but it's Pamela. Pamela Coleman. Yeah, Pamela Coleman Smith. And Arthur. So the classic deck is, you know, most people say Rider-Waite, but it's actually Rider-Waite Coleman Smith, okay, for Pamela's last name. And it's Arthur. I'm pretty sure it's Arthur instead of Alfred. In other videos, I said Alfred, and, you know, it's Arthur. Rider-Waite Tarot deck, yes. So you can Google Rider-Waite Coleman Smith deck. So this riffs off of that, and, you know, in the regular deck they don't have the meanings, but if you're just learning and you want to deal with angels and you're kind of afraid of an occult system and you want more of like a Christian-based, Western-based, angelic-based system, you know, life comes with darkness. We just have to say that, you know, and I tell my clients, like, you know, the point of being in the material world is to experience the divisions within and without of the light and the dark. So when I read, you know, how do you give a client bad news, or, you know, how do you say, you know, something negative? Well, life comes with positives and negatives, just like I was talking about when you wake up. You know, I wake up in a bad attitude, and, you know, what we're here to do is to try to make a choice, but we're definitely here to make a choice and find out what the choice does. That's kind of like the whole enchilada here on planet Earth in this reality. It's about desire, and it's about choice, and it's about purification and manifestation. You know, what are you creating? What are you manifesting? You know, and you need to wake up, Shakti. And when you're awake, you know, waking up in the bad attitude is like waking up and being in that mask of insanity and mask of a bad attitude. And what you have to do is, instead of, you know, be in that slumber of I have a bad attitude and the world's an awful place, you got to work your way into the attitude that you want, and that you want to carry into the world, and that you want to create through the day. So I hope that helps somebody, you know, because as a life coach, I can't really, when I have a client, just pretend to be like, oh, I'm just like perfect and I wake up in happy land and I'm going to show you how to like wake up in happy land every day. No, what I'm going to show you is how to make the right choice and choose the right actions every day. And so as a tarot reader, I'm also going to help you and show you what the choices and the energies around you at that time are. So I don't really think it's like, oh, this is good news, this is bad news. You know, life comes with positives and negatives, and we can only know the positive and the light, you know, by kind of experiencing the dark. Light is all that exists, frankly. So, you know, the dark is just the absence of light. And so, you know, sometimes you have to go into the dark and, you know, be away from the light to know that, hey, I want the light, or I want the good attitude, or, you know, I personally have a problem with the word happy because, you know, I think the advertising in America and, you know, they promise you happiness and they sell happiness, and the, you know, really corrupt version of capitalism that's happening. Corporatism is like, oh, you know, we're just going to make everybody happy, and you're going to take a pill and you're going to get happy, and you have to be happy, and everybody has to be happy. And, you know, the reality and levity of the situation here is that there are continuums, up and down, extremes from dark to light, and you came here to experience all of them. But this whole happy thing, like the minute you try to make the sum total focus of your life and existence here happiness, you are really deeply, painfully, absolutely setting yourself up for misery. There's no quicker way to get to misery than to demand happiness all day long. So what I do is I try to focus on joy, which is happiness is, you know, a function of things outside of ourselves. If I get this car, I'll be happy. If I get this lover, I'll be happy. If my lover has A, B, and C, and D, I'll be happy. You know, I want everything to look the way I want it to look, and then I'll be happy. And joy is a function of your soul and your spirit. So, you know, the happiness is a function of the ego. It's a material thing I'm going to get outside of myself, and it's conditional. And now I'm starting to channel, thank God. I'm sorry it took so long. Make sure my hair is connected to, you know, the fifth dimension and everything, because it really is kind of like about your hair. Anyways, the joy is a function of like making the right choices in your past so you don't suffer. And, you know, when we make there's no wrong choice, but when we make this choice, we're going to suffer, okay? Because we didn't, based on our past choices, we are now suffering. And so if I choose the divine choice, the choice based on divine intelligence and spiritual intelligence, then the opposite of suffering is I have joy, and I have like flow, and I have divine intelligence and spiritual intelligence, and there's, you know, joy inside of me. And so it's not conditional on anything else. So basically, you know, what I was saying about waking up is you have to work your way into the right attitude. Because for whatever reason, I don't know, you know, I still wake up in a bad attitude. And I think it's just a mask. And I don't really like waking up in that mask. And I'm like, you know, I'm going to take this mask off. It's not me. So what I do is I work my way into the greater truth that I know intellectually. And the more I you know, choose the right attitude, the right attitude, the right attitude, the right vibration, the right energy, and that, you know, my happiness, my joy, my soul is not contingent on like what I have outside, then I like have a greater attitude, a greater joy, a better version of myself, and I'm kind of drawing from my soul energy rather than the false energy that needs to be replenished all the time. Like the ego energy always needs like attack outside something. I get this and now I'm happy. I get this and now I'm happy. I get this and now I'm happy. And, you know, the greater spiritual truth is it leads to like an incredible amount of frustration because it's like diminishing happiness. It's like a gas tank that never gets full, and it just always needs to be replenished. You know, the things of the ego, you always need something else. And you never get to this like font inside of you. As long as you're like trying to get these things outside of you, the font inside of you never gets tapped. You know what I mean? When you close your eyes and you start dealing and drawing on the soul energy, then, you know, you get like these healing waters, the fountain of youth inside. You know what I'm saying? The Christ energy, the Buddha energy, the medicine energy, the soul energy. And you're drawing, and the soul energy is eternal. It's forever. It goes forever. It lasts forever. And it's inside of you. So the big illusion is like, you know, we're trying to get all these things outside and have happiness. And so what we do is we attach the happiness to the thing. So back to the tarot cards in my readings, you know, there's no such thing as like, I try to not deal with like good or bad. It like really confuses me. So I deal with things that are acceptable or unacceptable. And when I read for clients, I can't make the choice for you, you know, like kind of like that whole 70s idea of a tarot reader is like, tell my fortune. That's like what a fake gypsy person on the street, you know, that gives you the $5 reading. I tell you your future for the $5 reading. No, okay. That's what a gypsy does to con you out of your money. Like, I'm going to tell you your fortune. No, I'm not going to tell you your fortune. I'm going to present your choices to you and say, you know what, this is a dark ass shit thing going on that you're choosing. And in order to be a great tarot reader, I have no judgment. How I read is totally neutral. This is your life. It doesn't have anything to do with me. You're going to make the choice that you're going to make. I'm here to be of service to you, and I'm going to try and assist you in making the choice so you don't suffer anymore. And, you know, because of this card, it shows that you're suffering because you made these past choices. Usually based on an ego thing. I get this and I'm going to get that. And, you know, God help anybody that gets in your way for you thinking that you're going to get this thing for happiness. I see it all the time in relationships, all the time. You know, I'm just going to get this lover and then I'm going to be happy. And it doesn't really have anything to do specifically with the person. You're like, you know, you have just marked this lover as like, if I can get this guy or I can get this girl, you know, it's going to look good and then I'm going to be happy and yada yada. And now you've got this albatross of a relationship around your neck. And, you know, that's what I mean by making past choices and suffering. So, you know, I try to show the person the past, present, and future that could be the past that is, according to the cards, the present choices of the energies that are around you, and then the future choices that you can create. You know, somebody came to me and they were like, should I leave this relationship? That's like the most thing I hear of the most thing. Should I leave my husband? Should I leave my wife? Is my wife cheating on me? Is my husband cheating on me? Is this person a good person? How do I, you know, I'm really miserable, but I want to stay in because he's got money. And should I leave the relationship? And I'm like, I'm not going to tell you to leave the relationship. I don't tell you people what to do. This is what I can tell you, okay? If you stay in this relationship, and I have to say this a lot, and this isn't a judgment, if you want to stay, stay. And, you know, the minute somebody says to me, should I leave my husband? Should I leave my wife? Should I get rid of this guy? The answer is always yes, okay? It's really simple after reading tarot cards and having people talk about their relationship for 25 years. I've just learned that, you know, the second somebody is like, should I leave them? The answer is, I don't say it, but the answer is always yes. Of course it is. If you're questioning, nobody questions a loving relationship. Like, God, should I leave this loving relationship? It's perfect. It's beautiful. The sex is off the chain. We make love all the time. We have romantic weekends together. You don't sit around and like go, wow, should I leave it? No, you don't. And, so anytime somebody's like, should I leave my husband? I've been thinking about it for, 5 years, 10 years. I'm like, the obvious question, but I can't make that choice for you. And I don't tell people to leave their partners ever. I say, if you stay with this partner more than likely, and I point to the card because the card is going to be there. The card is going to be there. It's usually a sword card. It's usually a high sword card, 7, 8, 9. Bottoming out, you will lose your vitality. You will lose your vitality. When you're in a situation that is not feeding your soul and is based on the ego, it collapses and it folds. And if you made those choices to get into that relationship based on that person's body or that person's bank account or, something that you thought was going to satisfy some inner need that, it was going to make you look good or they're responsible to make you feel good. And instead of a partnership where you come together and you create a life together, then, you're going to lose your vitality because it was based on an ego thing. It was birthed for the wrong reasons in the beginning anyway. Nothing is ever that clear cut and simple, but the cards do clarify. And a good tarot reader is going to clarify and just take the simple energy and general idea of the story of what's going on, of what you asked, your inquiry and question. Is it? Yeah, it's still going. Sorry. And they're going to clarify. So, anyways, I use 2 decks, and I can use 2 decks. I've used several decks with clients. But so, this card kept coming up from my spiritual practice and a good attitude. I act my way into the good attitude. I dance. I have several songs in my Mac for inspiration. And, I listen to music that makes me feel inspired, and then I have spoken affirmations, I have prayer and meditation, and I light candles, and I sit at my altar and I ask for God's will for me for that day. And that usually gets me not necessarily into the happy land of the best attitude I can have, but I've just learned that carrying around a bad attitude gets me a lot of shit I don't want, okay? Fighting with people, I make stupid mistakes, and it's just a lot of work. So, after 30 years of being clean and sober and trying for a daily spiritual practice, I just found that having a better attitude is a cleaner thing for me. I have more clarity, and then I'm more likely to make the right choice. It's kind of like I put this thing on my credit card. It took 2 minutes to buy it, 10 years to pay it off, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that was a poor choice, and now I'm suffering because of that poor choice. So, when I begin the day in prayer and meditation, I get into the better attitude, and I'm more likely to be drawing from the soul energy and the spirit energy rather than I just want this because, I have this black hole of psychic emotional need that I'm trying to fill in there. I'm trying to stuff all this shit in there. And, it's the same thing. We do try to put people in that black hole, the God hole, the black hole of, need. I need. And, when you do that with people, you suffer. Trust me on that. And I try to tell my clients that. So, should I leave this person? The fact of the matter is, more often than not, you got into the relationship because you thought the person was going to fulfill that endless need in you. And instead of taking care of that need inside of you, with God and with things of the spirit and the soul and being of service will fill that hole up with love and light. I know it sounds corny, and it's actually the truth. Carrying around an attitude of service to your fellow man, fellow woman, fellow animal, will give you it gives you the soul experience, and it fills you up in a good way. Whereas the things of this world, you think you're going to get it and it's just fleeting, and, you try to put it in the place of need and it just doesn't work. So we have to have more cocaine, more sex, more people, or more things, or more clothes. I've done it with clothes. Boy, have I done it with clothes. And credit cards and just like buying shit. But anyway, so, okay, so, I think I made all my points there. Anytime somebody comes to me and says, well, should I do this? Should I do that? I tell my future. I'm not going to tell your future. If you stay in this relationship, you will lose your vitality. I can tell you that. So, the choice is up to you. The cards indicate that, okay? If you choose this, this is going to be the path, okay? So what I try to say is, do you want the wrong path? Here's the wrong path. Here's the path of losing your vitality, which in the tarot cards is the path of death, in a metaphorical and spiritual sense. It's really rarely physical death. But sometimes when you lose your vitality and your psychic, spiritual, soul energy, you're like the Walking Dead. And then you go on the right path. And here's the right path, which leads to, salvation and joy and regeneration and rejuvenation of your soul and your spirit. And, it's a bringing of your soul back into your body. It's a bringing of your own personal comfort back into yourself. I think I'm channeling some good stuff for you. I hope I am. I'm, trying to be of service. Anyways, the Ten of Pentacles is a great card, but the classic Rider-Waite Coleman Smith deck doesn't really have an interpretation on it. You have to know, and that's why you go to a card reader, because they have studied. A good card reader is also psychic, and they're not mutually exclusive one or the other. You can have a person that reads tarot cards but not necessarily psychic, and also not necessarily a medium and channeling for you. I'm a triple threat here. I'm a natural born medium. I personally go into trance for the client and channel the client, and I'm also studied the tarot cards, so I'm a natural born trance medium tarot professional who has also studied 25 years the occult system of the tarot and what it means, and the journey of the fool, and beginning in innocence and then getting lost in the darkness, and letting go into the soul energy, the rejuvenation and light energy, to be filled up with the spirit, and gaining the world purification, enlightenment at the world card. And it's a continuum, and we just keep going to higher levels of purification and divine connection. But anyways, so there's a lot of different interpretations of this esoteric system, and this one says a very happy family life, financial security, finding magic in the little things of life. And as a very, very wise man said to me, who was probably channeling my divine higher self, said, Kirk, it's the little things in life. It's the little pleasures. It's not the big things. So, but we're always looking for the big hit and the big vanishing point. So, we come back over here to the Zero Tarot of Dreams, which this is such a beautiful deck. He did such a beautiful job, and the illustrations are crazy, beautiful, and fantastic, and you can look at them forever and ever. And I don't recommend Ciro's cheap-ass $18 decks. This deck was like $50, $75. It's a special custom deck that I bought at a tarot convention that the Tarot School in New York City puts on. The Amber Stones put on, and it was a big deal for me to go. It's like $700, and it's like a 4-day event, and they have like tons of tarot cards, and you can bring like tarot cards that you want to give away, decks that you didn't mesh with, and you have deck trading and everything. But Ciro, the Tarot of Dreams, was actually there. I got to meet him, and I really just admire his work. And so, he has the interpretation riff off the Rider-Waite Coleman Smith deck as well. And his thing, as you can see, like I said, the backs of the cards, they look good on the table. They're beautiful. And, you've got a vision of the world, the universe here. And you could just have these on your table and look at them forever. They look good for the client. And they don't, confuse you, like some of the other ones. The energies it hurts your eyes after a while, and it doesn't look good on the table. And eventually you don't really connect to the deck. But he, instead of 4 suits, we have pentacles, swords, wands, and cups. Excuse me, come back. Instead of the suits, he put it into palaces, which I totally love. I totally love. So you have, the palace of intellect, which would be the sword suit in the, standard Rider-Waite Coleman Smith deck. Swords is intellect and ideas and brainstorming and intellectual power, thought power, the power of ideas. Swords and, like I said, I don't believe in a bad suit or a good suit. The swords, generally when it's the suit of air, when you have too much air and put too much thought into things, you suffer because you're overthink it and you've just got too much air. So, but he puts the palace of swords, which is the palace of the intellect. So he breaks it into 4 palaces, and it's just a whole other level of beauty and divine intelligence that he did. I mean, look at this card. This is the wheel card, the Wheel of Fortune. If you can see that, it's breathtaking. It's, very steampunk, and it's just sexy, and it looks good on the table. But it takes a while. I've been working with this deck now for about 9 or 10 months. We have the Palace of Earth, or the Palace of the Pentacles, and he says the Palace of Coins. So this has to do with, material things, finances, contracts, the element of Earth as well, the actual element. And then we have the Palace of Cups, which is water, which is love, emotions, connection, spirituality, dreams, visions, and things like that. Love, basically, anytime you're dealing with a love type of situation, and emotions and poetry and that type of things. Contemplating, feelings. That's the Palace of the Cups, or the Palace of Water. And what a glorious palace that must be. And then we have the Palace of Fire, Palace of Wands, the element of fire. And that must be like a really beautiful palace. Can you imagine like all these tiers and castles with like torches around? And, in order to do something, you need the fire. You need the internal fire. When people come to me in a shamanic sense, and they want shamanic healing, I have to find out where they've lost their power or where their fire has gone out. And so sometimes I have to go into other dimensions to get their power and turn their power on. But basically, the 2-minute version of a shamanic healing is I need to turn their pilot light back on. It has gone out. And, they're in the dark night of the soul, which is a very important thing, by the way. It's not bad. Let go of the judgment of what you're going through and just go through it. Okay? And if you're in the dark night of the soul, oh my God, it feels terrible. It feels awful. I want to commit suicide. I want to end my life. These are all the energies that you have not dealt with, that you have stuffed into the basement. And in the dark night of the soul, all of those energies come alive, and you need to deal with them and feel them. And, because I deal with people that are stuck, that's my specialty. I always, not always, a lot, most of the time, I always get clients that are, in a shamanic sense, come to me that are in the dark night of the soul, and I need to help them, show them a light to walk toward me. I can't carry you out of that room. That's the whole point of the dark night of the soul. I can't lift you and carry you because I will make you a cripple. Like the butterfly trying to break out of its cocoon. If I open the cocoon, I will cripple the butterfly because the friction and the pain and the force and the crucible of flexing your wings and the pain of all that, the crucible of that pain is going to spark up your fire. Some people do it alone. It can be done alone, but, if you have spirit helpers, but if you do it with a professional like me that knows exactly it's kind of like a 1, 2, 3 type of thing. After I've been doing it for so long, it's kind of like A, B, and C. Oh, you're in the dark night of the soul. Okay, I'm going to show you the light. You have to get up and walk out of that room. Just like the butterfly and the moth that dreamt, it could become something, and then it focuses on itself. It spins the cocoon, and now it's wrapped in this cocoon. It's like, I can't get out. I need help. And if there's outside help, like I carry the person, then I will cripple the person. So I never carry a client. What I do is, I encourage and support and show the client the light. Walk toward this light. It's okay. And this pain and this like darkness and depression is very, very real for this person. Even though I can see that it's an illusion, and behind all that darkness, there is your soul and there is your light. But that's because I've walked people out of that room so many times. I'm just like very calm. No matter what they tell me, I'm cutting. I'm not getting out of bed for months at a time. I'm not bathing. I can't do it. It feels like I'm pinned to the bed, and I have no judgment. And I also don't get like, I'm afraid. Like, I can't carry you out of that room, but I can encourage you and tell you, walk through it, sit with it, don't sit in it. So I show them the light. And so in a shamanic sense, I'm turning their pilot light back on. We're going to find out where you've lost your power and your light and your internal light and get it back for you. Okay? That's what a shaman does in a very real metaphysical sense. So I'm working with these decks, and, I'm getting, like, it's springtime. I'm getting cards of rejuvenation, regeneration. The Empress card is one of the most abundant cards in the deck, and this is Ciro's, once again, the Tarot of Dreams deck, now that I'm selling this stuff. But, this deck was like $50, $75, and, to get it from the person that made it, and to, like, shake their hand, and, I actually had him sign the Nine of Pentacles for me, which is a card I do a lot of work with and meditate on. I mean, look at this stuff. Here's the Ten of Pentacles in this deck, the Ten of Earth. Portal of light, portal of wisdom, portal of gold, the internal gold of the soul. So, anyways, I think that kind of like sums up, I don't know what the spiritual message you got from all this was. Anyways, but, let's review. I always love to have the review, in the tarot. Okay, let's review. Let's go over this again. And, when I read for people, if I do it in person, which is really rare, I don't really give in-person readings a lot anymore because of technology. I do it on the cam to cam, and, I can show them, But when I do in person, I give them an actual piece of paper and I write everything down because it's, the person is in like my hyper consciousness of channeling, and I take their spirit and soul and bring them on a journey into the super consciousness, so we open the portal for them. We get into the portal. We allow the divine intelligence to manifest. I channel the divine intelligence and spiritual divine higher self for them, as medium, and then I have to bring them back down, and it can be so confusing and just disorienting that in an in-person reading I hand them the thing and I write it all down, so when they get back home to their space and they feel totally grounded again, they can look at it and go, oh my God, that's what happened. But if you're really dealing with a real true medium and a great tarot reader, you're going on a journey in this reading. A good reading is around an hour and 15 minutes. It shouldn't be any more than that because you're maxed, the reader is maxed, the medium energy it's really exhausting. There's a reason why a good reader charges over $100, and some of them up to, 1,000, because it's truly exhausting. Like, I am wiped out, after I really give a full shamanic tarot oracle reading, and the person is just like floored and they've been healed. I mean, you've like bringing all this light into their soul and their life and enlightenment. So anyways, here's the Nine of Pentacles, Nine of Earth, and you can't really see it, but Ciro signed the deck right there, which, he didn't really like mark the deck. Only I would really even know it's there, but he did sign it. And I just like that the artist signed his work. So, let's just wrap up now. The big finish. How you start the day is important, and the attitude that you choose. You can choose your attitude. You don't have to live in the bad attitude. And, you choose the right attitude with a spiritual practice. My name's Kirk. I'm a shamanic healer. I also have a TV show once a week. And anybody can watch it with a computer connection around the world. It's every Monday, 11:30 p.m. Eastern. If you're in New York City or the greater New York City area, it's on channel High Def 1997. But we also get a lot of people from around the world that watch and tune into my TV show. I'm honored to say. And we have a social media plug-in on our website at mnn.org. And that's channel 3. It's called the Spirit Channel. And, you can watch the show as it's being broadcast from our studio. And then also on the sidebar have social media where, you sign in with the Facebook and you can write questions. And I'm checking the questions. So we have all this interaction as well. So that's every Monday, 11:30 p.m., channel 57. And it's 9 years in running. And it's all spiritual topics where I reach out, and as a public service, I talk to people, I let them answer questions, put questions out there, and we just have a community of sharing. And I also open up the psychic portal of love for 28 minutes. Shakti Namaste. Okay, I feel I hope you feel good, and I hope you spend time with me. I have over 300 free spiritual topics videos. I like my videos long. When a video is long and you really take the time to watch one of my videos, then we get to spend time together, and you and I both get a healing. Because as you get healed, I get healed. And so, it's not like this, like, let's just get it in, get it out, get it over, get it done thing. And, I just want to, like, fast food, put it in my mouth and go on and not think about it. And that's not really healing us, all of that. In fact, it's actually hurting us. So, there's a beginning and a middle and a longer middle and then an end, and it just keeps going. It just keeps going for greater purification. So when you, spend time with me and you really just sit here and listen, you get actually grounded and healed. So here's some cool sage that I got. It's like cedar sage. So I'm sending you the light. I'm turning your pilot light back on. Shakti Namaste. Shakti, healing love of the goddess and gods and male energy and female energy. I'm saging your aura now. Shakti Namaste. I'm giving you the power. I'm giving you the protection. And I'm giving you the prosperity to create and manifest your life. Thank you for watching, and check out my other vids. Have a great, awesome morning, noon, night tomorrow. Shakti, thank you for watching.